Never before the students of India have so much been frustrated as today when the problems of unemployment are dominant. So obviously the sentence is divided into 4 parts, right? Never before is part 1. The students of India have so much been frustrated is part 2. As today when the problems is part 3. Of unemployment are dominant is part 4. Yeah, so where do you think the error is? Now the quick tip, right? Like I keep saying, when it comes to finding errors, every question, there is a rule that you can apply, right? It's good for us to be aware of that rule. So a lot of you are coming back and saying part 2, part 2, part 2. But what's the rule? Anybody wants to kind of give it a try? What can be the rule behind this? And what's our clue phrase in the context or clue word in the context? Word order, yes, that's a concept, very good. As in construction wise, I'll explain that, but it's part 3 error. Most of you have come back and said part 2. Let's quickly look at it. Now, like somebody said, right? It's a word order error. Yes, it is a word order error. Correct. But our clue word is never, right? Never before. So obviously the meaning is giving us it's a negative meaning, right? So when a sentence begins with a negative adverbial, like, never, rarely, seldom, right? Scarcely, hardly, we know that, right? When you have a sentence beginning with this, what happens is the helping verb, right? Or the auxiliary verb in our context is have, right? So the verb, auxiliary verb, what happens? Comes before the subject. Now having looked at this rule, can you quickly rearrange the words now for me? Let me give you a example sentence. If I say, never have I seen anything stranger, right? So what is happening? I have seen is the proper construction. I have seen something strange, right? But never have I seen anything stranger. When the sentence begins with never, what am I doing? I'm shifting this word order, right? It's not I have seen. Never have I seen. So this auxiliary verb goes before the subject. So here in this case, the subject is the students of India, right? So never before have the students of India been so much frustrated as today when the problems of unemployment are dominant. So if I have to use as of today, right? As of today, the problems of unemployment are dominant. Okay. However, let's go back to our context. So never before have the students of India been so much frustrated. So anyway, the error is in part 2. So you'll have to reconstruct the entire word order. So as here brings in the meaning of like, right? Like today, it's explaining to us what's happening today. What is the problem? The problems of unemployment are dominant. That's what is the current situation. So let's go back and change the entire construction. So never before have the students of India been so much frustrated, or have they been so frustrated? I can even remove the much, but since it's part of the question, let it be. So much frustrated, and the rest of the sentence. As today, when the problems of unemployment are dominant. It's the same construction. Never before have the students of India been so frustrated as today when the problems of unemployment are dominant. Or never before have the students of India been frustrated so much. That also makes sense, right? That's also fine. Have been frustrated so much as today when the problems of unemployment are dominant. Yes. So either ways, the error is in part 2, where you change the construction, word order. So in the second context, if you see, the problems of unemployment are dominant. So here, the subject is not unemployment. The subject is the problems, which is a plural subject. And that's why are as a plural verb is correct. Are you following? That's it. Laboratory studies using genetically modified mice found that those with an extra dose of maternal genes developed bigger heads and brains and had little bodies. Okay, so as you read it, right, it seems perfectly fine. It seems like, hey, everything seems to be fine. But I want you to quickly spend a couple of seconds understanding the logic in this sentence, right? So what's happening? What's the context? What is the outcome? Is it the right outcome based on the context? I want you to ask questions and then I'll give you 30 seconds. Let me see who's able to identify the error in this question. It's not a difficult thing to identify, but most of us overlook these sort of errors where, when you're reading it, it sounds grammatically correct, but when you apply a little logic, then you're able to find the error. So this is a question pertaining to pure logic. Your 30 seconds have already started. Okay, most of you are coming back and saying part 3. Are you guys understanding the meaning the concept is giving first? Okay, a quick question. Okay, your 30 seconds is up. Nobody actually gave an explanation as such, right? Let's quickly look at it, unravel the mystery. Now these are mice, which is plural subject, right? Mouse is singular, mice is plural, which means they are experimenting on more than one mouse, obviously, right? So it cannot be head, it has to be heads, because we're talking about a lot of mice, right? Not mouses, mice. So no changes in heads and brains there. But what is the meaning the context is giving? Pretty easy, right? What they're saying is they are experimenting using studies on these genetically modified mice found that what have they been giving them? Extra dose of maternal genes, right? And what was the outcome? It developed bigger heads and brains and had little bodies. So ideally, when you're experimenting, the outcome or the result, right, is expected to be holistic. But there is some sort of a difference here. What is the difference? The difference is, imagine, I want you to visualize this, okay? The head and brain alone is big, but the body is little. Which means what? There's some sort of a contrast, right? It is not giving a holistic development. Not every part of the body of the mice is big. Only the head and brain is big, but the body is little, which means, I just said it while explaining itself, right? So this and is not the right conjunction here. And is a synonym hint word which brings in same meaning. But what's happening in the context is completely opposing, right? Which means I need the right conjunction, which is but and not and. The error is in part 4, where you change and to but. That's why I said you will easily tend to overlook this sort of an error because you're not understanding the meaning the context is giving, right? When you read it, you think, yeah, it's fine. Let's read it again. Laboratory studies using genetically modified mice found that those with an extra dose of maternal genes developed bigger heads and brains but had little bodies. That's the difference, right? So error is in part 4, you change and to but. These sort of questions again, what can I say? Unless you kind of dig deep and try and figure out what the meaning the context is giving, it's going to be difficult. Holistic refers to the whole body, right? And in our context, just to give you a difference, right? Holistic means referring to the whole body. And in our context, we're talking about the mice and their body, right? Body parts, where it's saying bigger heads and brains and little bodies. But when will you generally use holistic versus holistic is, this you will use when you're talking about the whole body or the person. And in our case, we're talking about the whole body of the mice where the difference is. Holistic, on the other hand, you will use when you're referring to, what can I say, the importance of everything together, comprising everything together. And how each of the parts, let's say body parts itself, right? When you're talking about each component in the body being dependent on the whole body, then it makes sense to use holistic. So the quick difference for you to figure it out is, go ahead and look at it in a context wise, right? Try and form sentences with holistic and holistic, or look up sentences with holistic and you'll see the difference. In fact, right, the meaning that little brings in is also of small or like, less than average size. So since it's bringing the meaning, that meaning in this context, it's fine. You don't have to change that there. Okay.